Let's get into it, team. Welcome to the session. It is good to have you all here. This is a part of the Momentum series. I am pumped to have you here. Love doing these free workshops online. They're always a bit of fun. So for those who don't know me, who may be joining either watching the video recorded or jumping on for the first time, my name is Matt. I'm the director and the lead speaker at Ignite Momentum. I've been lucky to help thousands of people across the Asia Pacific and the globe develop their leadership skills, improve resilience and their well-being. I am genuinely pumped to be running this session, another Momentum Series workshop for all of you today. And the focus today is all around productivity. Now, I'm confident by the end of this 30-minute session, you will have some workable strategies to help you reduce your stress, regain control of your day, and help you show up at your best for what matters most and be the most productive that you can be. Now, this workshop forms a small portion of the Productivity Legend workshop, which is a full comprehensive productivity skill builder that I've built out with workbooks and resources. If you've got any questions afterwards, feel free to reach out to me about that. Before I truly get started, though, of course, I want to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land that I'm presenting from today. Being in the southeastern suburbs of Melbourne, it is the Wurundjeri people of the Eastern Kulin Nation. I would love to extend my respect out to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples that may be present here today. As I love this country, I love this land, I feel very lucky to work here, and I very much respect every single person here. Now, through this session, you are welcome to have your camera on and off. As I said, this will be recorded for an online resource. Conscious of time, please use the chat to get involved and ask questions today. I'll do my best to get through them, and I will stay on for a couple minutes after the session if we want to have a bit of a discussion about anything else. But conscious of this tight time today, let's dive straight in. A few things that are coming up for us. I will be running a public workshop, and I'm doing these for the remainder of the year, a bunch of them coming up. Essentially, instead of doing a full workshop, you can actually join as an individual if you'd like. I know one person on this team has actually done the mental health first aid course we ran recently, so thank you very much. I'm actually doing another one on the 18th of August and a couple of other sessions coming up for the Momentum series. We've got leading teams through change, all about how we can do that and support our people. And then we've got a stress management masterclass coming up too. As always, if you'd like me to come out and speak at your workplace, you know the deal. Reach out. You can reach me via email or mobile. Now, for today, through the session, there's going to be plenty of time for reflection and strategies. I'm going to do my best to give you as much as possible. But your mission is to find just 3 things you can take from today, 3 actions that are going to genuinely move the needle and help you be more productive in your day and reduce your stress. Think of these as building blocks to a toolkit that is going to help you reduce your stress and improve the way that you work. So jump in the chat before we get into this. What is your biggest productivity challenge? Pop it in the chat. What do you find the most difficult? And for those of you who might be joining via a car, feel free to just think about this. You don't have to put it in the chat. Don't expect you to pull over if you're on a freeway. Too much to do in the day. Yes, it can be so overwhelming sometimes. Distractions, pop-up distractions. Oh my God, honestly, so hard. Procrastination. Yes, procrastination's a big one. What else? What other challenges do we have? Shifting priorities. Yes. Focusing on one thing without letting other distractions get in the way. Emails, respond, create, reply. Yeah, for sure. There's all sorts of things, right? It matters that we have good awareness of these challenges, right? Because whatever these challenges are that really stand out for you, I want you to use them to pick and choose these 3 actions today, things that are really going to help you. We are going to cover off quite a lot of those in terms of challenges and how we can manage them. The one we're not necessarily covering today, admittedly, is talking to procrastination. That is a part of the bigger workshop, but not today. There are a few other things that can help you with that. So let's dive in. Unfortunately, we are constantly interrupted by technology and people competing for our time and attention. This is something that makes it really challenging to get into a good flow state where we get good, effective work done. This is not impossible though, but it is important we understand that on average, we're interrupted every 2 to 3 minutes. This is through various notifications, random quick questions, all that sort of jazz. And once we're interrupted, it actually takes around 23 minutes and I think 15 seconds to refocus and get into a flow state. It doesn't really work if we're interrupted every 2 to 3 minutes and we need 23 minutes as a good chunk. It can be really hard. So if we don't manage this well, this is where it can breed overwhelm, and stress, and anxiety. And obviously, that lack of productivity, which ultimately impacts our well-being and our work-life balance. So this is why it's so important that we think about forming really good habits and techniques and tactics around our work so we can manage these interruptions and improve the way that we are doing things effectively. So let's talk to the three challenges or the top three ways that we can work through these challenges that I hear most when it comes to running training. And it really covers off that overwhelm that you mentioned before, having so many competing priorities and shifting priorities, and then also being able to stay focused when we're getting distracted. So I've got a few things that are going to help you with this. Now, starting with number one, raise your hand in Teams, or if you're on camera, just give me a thumbs up. If you've ever felt overwhelmed and overloaded, like there's just too much to do, not enough time to do it. Definitely not surprised yet. A fair few people in that boat. You are not going to be alone. In a 2025 Gallup survey, it was actually found that around 49% of Aussies and New Zealanders were feeling stressed a lot of the time in their workday. Now, when we're in this headspace, it's so hard to know what direction to go. In fact, our brains are so overloaded, it can almost feel like we're stuck in a traffic jam. So how do we overcome this? We need really good tactics to reduce that cognitive overload. And what I believe we need to do is create visibility of what's important. Now, each person's different, so here are some tips to get you thinking. When our brains are so full, tasks, projects, ideas, our brains don't function well, and it's likely going to be that we'll experience cognitive overload. Feels like a tornado of ideas rolling around in our brains. If you find this is the case for you, a really effective way to reduce that overload is with a brain download. This tactic is where you write down everything you can possibly think of onto a page. Ideas, reminders, tasks, to-dos and errands, everything. This is a really good way to start the day before we get into the real work because it takes everything out of the brain and puts it on a piece of paper, meaning that we are no longer overloaded because we don't have to remember everything. And remember, we can only remember around 7 things at a given time. So this has been a real proven way to improve focus, concentration, and reduce stress. Now, what I want to do here is I actually want to give you a couple of minutes now just to sort of sit with this. And if you've got a notepad, a phone, a computer, a document, anything you like, I want you to start to do a bit of a brain download. I'm going to give you about 2 to 3 minutes to do this, just to get some ideas out of your brain right now. I'll give you some time now to do this. And if you have any questions, please pop them in the chat. And what I will do is I'll answer them as I go. So 2 to 3 minutes, write down everything you can possibly think of that needs to be done today. I'm just going to go quiet for a minute there. I'm going to bring you all back in. I know you're probably diving in writing down ideas or just starting to have these tasks flow through, just want to pause for a second and just ask a question for the chat. How are you feeling after jotting down those tasks or starting to write down all those ideas? Are you finding yourself feeling more overwhelmed with all the tasks, or are you finding yourself feeling a little bit more in control, like you can see what needs to be done? Thanks, Matt. And I'm not surprised you've been good company. Often, what happens when we do this task is it starts us off feeling a little more overwhelmed because we can see all the things that are happening for us and that we need to do quite a bit of stuff. So it's normal for us to feel that overwhelmed. There are a few other things we can do after this, and that is really around organizing our time, organizing our day, which we're going to get to shortly. Now, conscious, we're not going to have time to do a full organization with this, but within this session, but I do want to encourage you after this session to take these tasks and start to organize them a little bit more. Sometimes you'll find as well, when we do this, you'll actually feel a lot less overwhelmed to start with because you're getting everything out of your head. You no longer have to remember it, which is brilliant. Now, I'd recommend around 5 to 10 minutes, ideally for this, and you will write anywhere between 50 and 100 things down at any given time. We just want to get the ideas out of the head and reduce that overwhelm, right? Now, when we have all of these ideas, being that we can only remember 7 things at a time, it's really helpful to consider storing this information somewhere so we can regularly refer to it. That way we don't have to rewrite it down. I'm sure we can all think of a time where we've got a notepad with 50 things on it, and then we've had to rewrite it onto a different page to then add things to again. And it can really take a lot out of us. So think less is more. We just want one place to store things. Now, it's important to consider whether we use technology, whether we use notepads. It's really up to us. And I'd encourage you to think about this ongoing after this. I find Microsoft To Do is a brilliant tool to really help with this. Just keeps everything in one place, carries it over the next day, and it reduces my paper waste, so to speak. And it's just really easy because it comes onto my phone as well as my computer. So it's easy when I'm traveling, which is quite a lot to keep on track. So I'd be interested to consider what place would work for you, worth thinking about. Now, once we've written these tasks down, like I said, there's quite a few steps that we can go through to help us continually reduce that overwhelm. And one thing to consider is just highlighting our top priorities. It can be overwhelming when we have so many things on a sheet, and quite often we'll overestimate what we can do in a day and underestimate what we can do in a week. So it's really important we take a moment just to consider, what are my top 5 priorities? Going through that list and just highlighting the top 5 things that are actually going to move the needle for us in our day. This is really crucial because it will then give us clarity or visibility about what really matters. We can even take these tasks and rewrite them onto another page if we want to, just so that we're not looking at too many different things. I always like to consider with this, what is one thing I can also get rid of? And as you'll see on this list that I put up here, in this case, we don't need to call back Joe from accounting. We're removing that. It's really, really important we take a moment to do that. It's often there's just so many tasks on our plate, we'll have less ideally. I do have 3 questions I ask myself with this a bit later on, which I will tell you about in a second. Now, quick show of hands, has anyone found themselves starting a task thinking it's going to take 20 minutes and then it takes 2 hours? Quick show of hands, anyone? Yeah, couple people. Every day, Bella, the struggle is real. I feel like this is kind of something I would call the time blindness surprise, where we kind of put a task down, allocate some time, and then realize halfway through, oh no, I actually need way longer than I thought. So I would recommend with this, really taking time to prioritize, like what I call a legend. Give yourself a few extra minutes of thinking time once you've got those top 5 priorities, and just label each item on your list with an estimated completion time. This is really going to help remove that time blindness, and it's going to help with scheduling the appropriate amount of time for yourself later on, helping you get things done effectively and reducing that stress. After you've done this, it can be helpful too, if you like, to number these tasks in order of priority 1 to 5. Again, it just gives you visibility of which one to start with. Really what we're trying to do here is do the thinking before we actually get into the actions. We really need to do a bit of planning ahead, which is a perfect segue into what's going to come after this. But before I get there, inbox strategies. I mentioned that I would give you a few inbox tips. Now, these are straight from my Mastery of Your Inbox workshop. Now, during the full workshop, we actually walk through how to set these up live, but the general gist I'm going to give you here is to leverage your settings, tweak them and make them useful for you. Simply make it easy for yourself to cut through the clutter so you don't break focus. Really, we're just trying to make things visible. Again, visibility is really crucial here for priorities. So here's a couple of tactics that have worked really well for me, particularly in a previous role where a lot of my team got more than 70 emails per hour. We used to bold and highlight key emails, maybe even key words that can just be a really great way to, at a glance, see what's a priority and what's not. Especially if you've got 100 emails sitting in that inbox, it's very hard to sift through and find what's urgent and what's not. Whereas if it's bold, color-coded, and highlighted, it will stand out so quickly that you can open your inbox and see it at a glance. Creating folders for non-important emails and auto-directing them there is a huge mental overload relief. It just clears the inbox really, really quickly, and a lot of that volume can drip down fast. Working offline where you can is really helpful as well. This is going to help you get through tasks without emails starting to come in. Essentially, the work offline button just stops more emails coming into the inbox, and it just allows you to get through what's already in there. Just please make sure you turn it back online again afterwards, otherwise you will not get emails. And the other one is remove notifications. Quick question. Right at the start, I mentioned how often we get interrupted. Does anybody remember how often we get interrupted in minutes? Pop it in the chat. 2 to 3 minutes. Yes, 2 to 3 minutes. So this goes as a blanket for everything. Microsoft Teams, notifications, inbox notifications, all of them. Turn them off where you can. We want to remove the distractions. We want to remove the interruptions as much as possible. And these are ones we have control over. This is going to reduce your likelihood of I might just check my inbox randomly or check my Teams randomly risk when you see something peeling up the side of the screen with all those notifications. Now, fun fact, the average person actually checks their inbox around 11 times per hour, and it is just a killer for productivity and focus. Remember, we do not want to be splitting our focus if it takes 23 minutes to get into the flow state. We want to give ourselves that good 23 to 25 minutes to get in the zone without interruptions and without splitting our focus. Now, if you give these a go, any of these, I'm very confident that they are going to help you master your inbox. I've actually had some people attending it and directors in previous roles said that it actually changed their lives, changing these putting these techniques in. So highly, highly recommend them. Now, to this as well, please block some time into your calendar to go through your inbox and your Teams messages if you remove notifications, purely because you don't want to miss things. You just want to allocate time to go in there so that way you are processing everything, getting through it, doing it, and then you're getting back to the good work without the interruption. So that segue I mentioned earlier around planning ahead, thinking ahead, let's get into that. This is section 2. When we have a plan and we schedule ahead, this makes a massive impact in how productive we are for our days and our weeks. This is going to help you stay on track and protect your time and focus for the tasks that genuinely matter the most. Here are a few things that I find really helpful and my clients have found really helpful in just building effective plans and effectively scheduling it ahead. This is critical because it's going to make a huge impact, because it can be easy to get caught out during our weeks by major tasks and deadlines that just creep up on us amongst the busyness of everything else that's happening. Just essentially, we want to reduce the likelihood of this happening, and a bit of weekly and monthly planning ahead makes a huge impact on this. Take time to scroll ahead through your calendar. Think about what is needed of you on any given week or even month ahead. I personally like the month ahead because I do a lot of travel, so I need to be pretty organized, but weekly is very good for most people. This is going to help you essentially give time to break down projects and actions to smaller steps and then allow you the space to block them into your diary. It's going to help you be significantly more prepared for action when the time actually comes to do whatever it may be. It's also going to give you important time to actually zoom out and reflect on what might actually be needed of you for the coming week. What actually is working? What isn't working? And actually adjust. This makes such a big impact when we take the time to zoom out. It can be very much underestimated. And this just is going to help you be significantly more organized and reduce that stress. Now, if we add these smaller tasks to our list, we will then be much more likely to actually get on top of things early and have things run smoothly throughout the week. Because again, we're going to have visibility of what matters most. A little bit of preparation prevents poor performance, as they always say. Now, I'd recommend you actually book this into your diary, having this weekly and monthly planning ahead. And I find Friday morning works really well for me, but protect this ruthlessly. Do not put meetings over this. Do not let people interrupt it. You need to set this time aside. This is a significant factor in success and productivity and workload management. I would suggest that it's good setting aside around about an hour for this at least. And get into everything. Go through your inbox, your calendar, your to-do list, refresh everything at all. Now, when it comes to prioritizing things and planning them into the diary, it really starts with understanding what's a priority and what's not. So remember, if everything is a priority, nothing is. Now, the momentum matrix is a really good, helpful tool here that can actually just help us identify what matters and what doesn't. Now, when it comes to this, on the top left, these are just the high impact things that are low effort. These are usually tasks that I like to call frogs that take us probably under 5 minutes. We want to do these first thing in the morning. It actually could be responding to quick emails, following up clients, calling someone, anything like this. Motivation actually comes after action. So these high impact, low effort tasks are really great to help us get motivated and get us moving in the morning. The top right is the high impact, high effort. These are really important. We schedule these as chunks of time. And I like to put these in deep focused work, which I'll get to in a second. You'll know how long you need with these because you've taken the time, I hope, to think about it. And you've already written the estimated completion time out. This might be project work, planning, strategizing, writing, creating, anything along those lines. Now, the bottom left, this is low impact, low effort, still needs to be done, but often can be delegated to someone else. And you better believe I'm going to ask if I can delegate it. If it can be, I will be. Bottom right, this is just a no-go, low impact, high effort. This could be going through all the notifications, reading through massive Teams messages that are pinged and grouped up, even through thousands and thousands of emails trying to find what's a priority, even just subscriptions, reading and deleting and going through all of these. We want to avoid these tasks and focus on how we can create visibility on the priorities. I find with inboxes, there are some actions I have in place to help remove this pressure immediately. Like I said, creating filters so messages from key stakeholders land in either a priority folder or a bolded, color-coded or highlighted. It's just a really helpful one to just make it pop out at a glance. Now, another effective way to do this is to decide on whether or not the work is quick or deep. Now, this is essentially blocking out chunks of time in two different types of tasks, so quick wins and deep work tasks. As I said, motivation comes after action. So I think of these as quick wins, like I mentioned before, an excellent way to build momentum. Quick wins are tasks that take less than 5 minutes, and deep work is a time dedicated task that requires a bigger, chunkier amount of time. Project work, big thinking work, something that requires a lot of time, organizing, or creativity. What I find helpful is to have 3 questions to help me categorize these into buckets after I do a bit of a brain download. And then I just schedule these into blocks into my day. So the first one is, can I delegate it? D. If yes, you better believe I'm delegating it. QW, is it a task that's going to take me less than 5 minutes? If so, I write QW and I block out a small chunk of time at the start of my day and after lunch just to help me go through those and get motivation, build momentum. And DW, is the task going to take more than 5 minutes? If so, estimate the time, allocate time for this. This is where I'd recommend, as I said there, estimate the time for the completion of each task. It's going to help you reduce that time blindness risk. Now, here's an example of a schedule for me that I've found that really works. In the morning, 8:30, brain download, do a bit of a triage and go through prioritizing using that momentum matrix, figure out what's a priority. I start with a bit of a deep work block after that. Usually there's a little bit of those quick wins in there beforehand. 11 a.m., sort of those shallow tasks, small replies, easy stuff to do. Have a bit of a lunch break. Post lunch, I'll go through the inbox, do those quick wins as well to get that momentum, and then jump into that deep block again, that big project work. Now, if you'll notice, I've got time chunks on there around 60 to 90 minutes for the deep work and around 15 to 25 minutes for the simpler work. That's purely because our brains can only focus for around 90 minutes at their peak before they need a break. I find that's just a really good way to leverage that time. All right, the last part of this, and it's important we take time when we're planning, when we're getting into productivity. Think about how we sustain our focus and energy, because this can shift how we work and be the difference between distraction and actually getting a lot of work done. It's important we just really take time to consider this before the fact. Now, there's two ways I like to think of this: planning ahead and thinking about how we can protect our focus and attention. There's a couple of different ways or techniques I use here. For example, time blocking, I mentioned before, blocking out chunks of time in the day from our to-do list, and that way giving us clear amounts of space to do that work. Again, 90 minutes of focused work is really ideal. I would have a break after that, at least 5 to 25 minutes to reset the brain. It's really important we give ourselves that space. A protected first hour, I like to call this the prime time. Our brains often work at their best first thing in the morning. Around 80% of people find that. Some people are afternoon, but I would protect that time where you work at your best. Put those really complex, detailed tasks at that point. I have that first hour of my day protected for that, and that means fiercely protected. No meetings, no interruptions, nothing. Minimize those distractions from those apps, remove those notifications as much as possible, and go from there. So jump in the chat here really quick, team. What is one thing that will help you focus today? What's one thing that can help you protect that focus? Give you a second to pop some ideas in the chat. I love a Pomodoro timer as well. It's 25 minutes of focus work, 5-minute reset. Really effective way to get good work done. It's also motivating too, because it doesn't take a whole lot of time. Protected first hour. Love it, Tammy. Yes. Be ruthless with that protection. Do not let anyone book meetings in. Put it in your calendar. Amazing, Braden. Reduce those notifications. Yes. Whatever your ideas are, team, I want to challenge you to do this particular thing today. Tammy, I'm going to challenge you. Block that time in. Protect that first hour today. Put it in your calendar. Braden, I'm going to challenge you. Turn off those notifications, even if it's just for today. Really, really give it a go. It will make such a difference. Now, the last one I like to think of is, how on earth am I going to go ghost? It's really important to think of this as like, how am I going to close the kitchen door during service hours to protect my flow as the cook doing the work? This is where we need to do two things: leverage technology and set effective boundaries. Now, some ideas could be, as I said, turning off notifications, focus modes on the phone, inbox settings, working offline, deep work blocked into the calendar, tackling the hardest thing first, out of office replies to help people manage expectations of your response times. How about you though? What are some ideas? How might you go ghost and protect your space today? Janelle, I love it. Schedule some me time. We need time in there to recharge, right? Yes. Fun fact, Bella, there's actually a team that quite a while ago I read about, and they actually got a giant elephant statue and they put it on the desk, and that was kind of their do not disturb sign. So whenever any of the team saw on that desk that elephant, essentially that meant that person was in deep work and we don't want to disturb them. So yeah, you totally could do a sign like that. Just communicate it with your people. We don't want people walking around trying to find you and not being able to find you to actually get your help if you need it. Yes, they do. Absolutely, Bella. Definitely worth using the feature. Now, whatever your ideas are, again, I really want to challenge you to do them today. Give it a go. You never know how much of an impact it's going to have. Now, just a quick recap before we've gone over quite a lot of stuff in 30 minutes. Talking about creating visibility. We want to be able to see the priorities, planning in advance and scheduling, thinking ahead, and then protecting that focus, having focus tactics, and actually going ghost. So for you, I really want you to think about those 3 actions and what those 3 are for you today. And in my experience, when we commit to it, it really does happen. So I'm going to give you a second now to scan this QR code. I'm also going to put the link in the chat, and I want you to jot in those 3 actions today and take a moment to just fill out that survey for me. let me know what you thought of the session today before we slowly close it out in the next minute or so. Love it, Janelle. Yes, planning ahead. Honestly, it just gives me so much joy when I know what's happening. For those who can't find it, I popped it in the survey link into the chat. So please do take a minute to fill it out for me. Let me know what those 3 actions are and what you thought of the session. And I might just get a thumbs up from at least one person to tell me the survey is working. Champion, thanks, Matt. Legend Bella, thank you. Rightio, just while you finish that survey, as always, thank you so much for your time. If you'd like me to come out and support your team, this particular workshop I pulled this out from, we actually do a lot of discussion and engagement. People actually build their own plans out while we're doing it. Love to work with you if you'd be interested. Feel free to connect with me on my email, LinkedIn. I've also got Instagram and YouTube where we're starting to post up these recordings, which is awesome. But other than that, thank you so much for joining. I so appreciate all of your support. If you found this helpful today, please share the next session with someone that you know. The more, the merrier. I am very passionate about helping people improve the way they work and improving their well-being. And I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to do that for you today. Have a wonderful day today, team.
See you, Matt. Thanks.
Thanks, Matt. See you next time.
See you soon.